Namaskar. Welcome to the next module, Human Races in India. We have last seen human races of the world. When we come to India, India represents all the races of the world. As you all know, India is a land of contrasts. There is indeed a great contrast among its population, both in terms of ethnic variety and also in terms of racial variety. People of India is a fascinating mix of people of many different communities and religions who live together in unity. It's also in the contrast of the people that we see unity in diversity. Indian population is polygenetic. Polygenetic in the sense that there are multiple genes, and is an amazing amalgamation of various races and cultures. And therefore, it is impossible to find out the exact origin of Indian people, although we can differentiate them in terms of races and colors. A discussion on human races in India must necessarily speak about the human family, the evolution of human family. In the evolution of human family was a group of human-like beings called hominids. The species known as Ramapithecus was found in the Siwalik foothills of northwestern Himalayas. This species was believed to be the first in the line of hominids, that is, human family, which lived some 14 million years ago. Researchers have also found that a species resembling the Australopithecus also lived in India, but some 2 million years ago. This discovery leaves an evolutionary gap of almost 12 million years. And then you have evidence that they were hominids of the kind also known as Australopithecus, who lived just 2 million years ago. But you do not have any evidence so far about the intervening period. That is, we have an evolutionary gap of 12 million years in which we do not really know what happened. But however, we have indications on another aspect of evolution of human races. That is the historical migrations across the world. In the last module, we have seen that Africa was at the origin of humankind. It was in Africa that the cradle of human civilization began. And from Africa, migrations began to happen some 100,000 years ago. And a group of people migrated into India about 60,000 years ago. Likewise, people have migrated to different parts of the world, to Europe about 40,000 years ago, to North America about 20,000 years ago, and to South America about 10,000 years ago, and so on. Now, a study of the skulls from ancient South Asia showed presence of 3 groups of people. Most of the hunter-gatherer skulls from South Asia clustered with Upper Paleolithic skulls from Europe. When we say Paleolithic, we are talking about Stone Ages. When we say Upper Paleolithic, we are talking about the early Stone Age people of Europe. So the hunter-gatherer skulls from South Asia were found clustered with the skulls of people from Upper Paleolithic in Europe. Also, the skulls from Harappa, which all of you know as a city built by the Dravidians, which is now in Pakistan. And Harappa skulls were sharply distinct from the earlier ones. So they are the second kind of people. And the foraging and farming populations of South and Central India are intermediate between the two. That is, the hunter-gatherer skulls from South Asia clustered with Upper Paleolithic skulls from Europe and the skulls from Harappa. Now, before we go into the understanding of the nature of races in India and the characteristics, it is important we understand the meaning of two words which are specially used in the study of races. One word is called heterozygosity. Heterozygosity literally means having different alleles at one or more corresponding chromosomal loci. Another meaning of that is of relating to a heterozygote. A heterozygosity is also of meaning the state of being heterozygous or having two different alleles of the same gene state. The way something is with respect to its main attributes. Alleles are indeed the genetic material which make up human and other beings. Homozygosity, therefore, is a state of being homozygous, which really means having two identical alleles of the same gene. We will come to know why we use these two terms in relation to races in the world and races in India. Now let's get to the topic of races of India. In India, from anthropometric studies, one used to find traces of 7 races of humans who intermixed to create the Indian race. Remember, 7 races of humans who intermixed to create the Indian race. Modern studies within regional contexts are still rare, so one mostly has to look back to the global genetic studies. In other words, we don't have many studies which relate to the local or regional context, especially the Indian context. So much so we have to look at global studies to understand the racial composition of India. Northwest India shares with West Asia and Eastern Europe, and also pockets in Africa and Southeast Asia at a maximum heterozygosity known among the world population. In other words, there are greater variations in terms of zygosity, therefore heterozygosity. At a maximum heterozygosity known among world populations, with means between 0.35 and 0.37, which is an index, and the rest of India and Europe is only slightly lower, between 0.33 and 0.35. This shows the vast amount of admixture that has gone on in these groups and regions, especially in India, to be contrasted against, for example, Australia, which has a homozygosity of less than 0.25. It is currently accepted that at least 4 strata are visible in the population in different parts of India. Actually, we began with 7 distinct races intermixed to create the Indian race, but we come down to 4 identifiable populations in different parts of India today. So what are the races of India? The 4 are an Australoid Vedoid substratum, a migration from the east of Austroasiatic and Sino-Tibetan language speaking groups. This is the second one. The third one relates to Neolithic, New Stone Age migrations from Western Iran, probably Proto-Dravidian, the people like us in southern India. And 4 is the Aryan expansion from north of Caspian Sea via Turkmenia and northern Iran. Therefore, these are the 4 identifiable groups of populations are found in India. To repeat, Australoid Vedoid substratum, Austroasiatic and Sino-Tibetan language speaking groups, the Neolithic migrations from Western Iran, probably Proto-Dravidian, and lastly the Aryan expansion from northern Caspian Sea via Turkmenia and northern Iran. Now, what evidence do we have to differentiate the people of India as belonging to different races or different groups of population? The difference between different groups is indeed very small overall, but the difference that exists can be used to trace the history of human migrations. Although there is one word of caution, which is human groups are rarely found strictly genealogically in defined regions. More often, it is cultural transmission that defines the groups that one is studying, and this transmission has both vertical and horizontal components. The vertical component is called concordant with genetics, and the horizontal is considered possibly discordant. Concordant is coinciding with or similar to, but discordant is not coinciding with or different from. So DNA evidences suggest that there are indeed 4 different groups of populations which could be considered as those 4 groups we have talked about. There are also ethnic groups in India. There are many diverse ethnic groups among the people of India. Now, to count them, there are 6 main ethnic groups that are Indian. The first ethnic group is called the Negrito or Negrilos. The second ethnic group is Proto-Australoids or simply Austrics. The third group is called the group of Mongoloids. The fourth is Western Brachycephals. And the last is Nordic Aryans. Now let's look at the nature and the biological differences between these 6 ethnic groups. We will look at each one of them one by one. The Negroes, or the brachycephalic, let me say brachycephalic, they are broad-headed, from Africa, where the earliest people have come to India. They came to India more than 60,000 years ago. They have indeed survived in their original habitat in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. They are still there to be seen as people belonging to Negroid race, but called Negritos or Negrillos. In the Javas, Wongays, Sentinelese, and the Great Andamanis are some of the examples. Some hill tribes like Irulas. Irulas live on the Western Ghats, near about Coimbatore. Cordons, Panias, and Kurumbas are found in some patches in southern part of mainland India, that's South India. Negritos look more like Negroes. They may have dark brown to dark black skin color, may have pepper curls, may also have straight hair like most of us. The second group is pro-Australoids or Austrics. These group of people were the next to come to India after the Negritos. They are people with wavy hair, lavishly distributed all over their brown bodies. They have body hair. They are long-headed with low foreheads and prominent eye ridges. Noses with low and broad roots, thick jaws, large palates and teeth, and small chins. And the Austrics of India represent a race of medium height, dark complexion, with long heads and rather flat noses, but otherwise of regular features. Miscegenation with the earlier Negroids may be the reason for the dark or black pigmentation of the skin and flat noses. In other words, the mix with the earlier Negrito stock may be the reason why they look like they do. Now we come to the third group of people, Austrics. Austrics laid the foundation of Indian civilization. They are the people who cultivated rice and vegetables and made sugar from sugarcane. Now these people are found in some parts of India, also in Myanmar, that is Burma, and the islands of Southeast Asia. Their languages have survived in the central and eastern India. We come to the next group, which is also the largest group in terms of the world, but smallest in terms of India, the group called the Mongoloids. These people are found in the northeastern part of India, in the states of Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, and Tripura, the Seven Sisters. They are also found in northern parts of West Bengal, Sikkim, and Ladakh. Generally, they are people with yellow complexion, oblique eyes, high cheekbones, sparse hair, and of medium height. Now we come to the majority people living in southern India, called the Dravidians. These are the people of South India. They've been believed to have come before the Aryans. They have different subgroups like ancient Mediterranean, the true Mediterranean, and the Oriental Mediterranean, the Eastern Mediterranean. They appear to be people of the same stock as the peoples of Asia Minor and Crete and pre-Hellenic Aegeans of Greece. So they have come from the Mediterranean, therefore they are also called the Mediterranean or the Dravidians. They are reputed to have built up the city civilization of the Indus Valley, which is Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, and other Indo-cities as well. Now we come to the fifth group called the Western Brachycephalic. These groups include people from Alps, Dinars, and Armenia. Therefore, they are called Alpinoids, Dinarics, and Armenoids. In India, there are two different groups of people. One in Maharashtra, mostly in Maharashtra, other in Karnataka, the Parsis and the Kodavas. These two groups fall in this particular category called Western Brachycephals, are the broad-headed West occupying people. They are the broad-headed people living mainly on the western side of the country, such as also the Ganga Valley and the Delta, parts of Kashmir, Kathiawar, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and also a little bit in Tamil Nadu. Now we come to the last one, as the Nordics or the Indo-Aryan. These groups were the last one to immigrate to India. They came to India somewhere between 2000 and 1500 BC, roughly around 4,000 years ago. They are now mainly found in the northern and central part of India. Now, when we look at all these races and of India, then naturally we have to look at their social stratification. As we have seen, one of the earlier modules, a division of humankind, and also the division of humankind in India, we have indicated that across India, people of India are divided or stratified according to the castes they belong to. Now, when we look at the social stratification, the majority, about 80% of Indian society is broken up into about 2,000 castes, which can be further broken down into endogamous units, which are called subcastes. The total number of these units in India is estimated to have been staggering 75,000 at its peak, and there's still about 43,000 today. But there were many more subcastes than it is today. Any genetic study needs to take these into account. It is important we take into account these different stratifications, as well as the gotras, roughly speaking, exogamous within these. Without doing such a study, it would be difficult to identify the races of India. Now, to sum up, India is a land of variety. India is also a land where there is unity in diversity. The unity in diversity is not just in physical terms, but also in biological and human terms. If we consider races of India, we began with 7 races identifiable, but ended up with 4 distinct races that could be identified and could be found in different geographical regions. And we have also identified about 6 different ethnic groups which are occupying different regions of India. They are, as we have indicated, Negroes, people who have migrated into India about 60,000 years ago, and Proto-Australoids and Austracs who came later then as the Negroes, Mongoloids who may have become yellow race because of the great admixture that happened in India and elsewhere in Asia, and the Mediterranean, the people of the Dravidian region in the southern India today, but they came essentially from those areas of the Mediterranean, but particularly from the areas around the West Asia. And the fourth group is called the Western brachycephalic, broad-headed people who occupy the western parts of the country, although today they are also found in the Gangetic Plain and the Delta, and in certain parts of India other than the western parts of the country. And finally, people of Nordic origin, the Aryans, who live most of northern and central India. So India is a land of contrasts. India is a land of different races. India represents the races of the world, and at the same time India represents the ethnic variety, an ethnic variety that distinguishes India as a country of unity in diversity as well as contrasts. Thank you very much.